how, for a political career, the blood of 1 million Iraqis is a gift that keeps on giving. And the return of the High Commissioner in Palestine, almost 80 years after his predecessor, Sir Herbert Samuel, left the job in 1948, highlights that despite the technology, it is a very primitive and basic enterprise that hasn't really changed. So, standing where we are, as Palestinians, as people of color, as people from the global south, we wonder what is the nature of the relationship between Israel and Western imperialism. Israel is not an ally of Western imperialism. It's not Taiwan, it's not Ukraine. It's not even a client state like Saudi Arabia or one of the Latin American banana republics. Israel is something much more. This genocide has acted as a stressor that has lit the power grid that links imperialism across the globe with its central empire, the United States. And we have discovered the way in which Israel has been woven into the very fabric of power and power institutions in the West. And to give you a couple of examples, very basic examples. So The Guardian ran a story on the 17th of July about a British company called MBDA Limited. And MBDA Limited manufactures the wings of a bomb called GBU-39. And The Guardian was able to identify 34 attacks, one of which became famous for the silhouette of a 5-year-old girl who was trying to escape the fire. This 5-year-old Haneen Jarjawi lost both parents and her siblings in one of these attacks, whose bomb has wings made by MBDA. But MBDA has a £3 million research grant with Glasgow University. And the 350 million that it made in the last 2 years go back to its parent company, BAE Systems. And Glasgow University is one of the shareholders of BAE Systems. And so the blood of Hanan's parents and siblings, her burnt flesh, materialized into value extraction all the way at Glasgow University. And the same applies to the laser lab at Edinburgh University that plays a crucial part in the research on laser-guided bombs, along with Tel Aviv University, and so on and so forth. Whether it's the universities or the medical institutions like the Royal Colleges, who refuse to condemn the killing of some of its recipients, we discover that what has happened over the last few years, this trick, this mirage that liberalism uses of historicization, where in the last few years, these universities were claiming to want to decolonize everything from the curriculum to the soft furnishings, actually was just that. An age-old liberal trick of historicization and musification. And that these institutions that were built on slavery money and colonial theft, that perpetuated racializing theories about colonial endeavors, that rooted colonial endeavors in the inferiority of people of color, had not really evolved and were as primitive as colonialism itself. So the next question that we need to ask is, whose genocide is this? Is this Netanyahu's genocide? Is this Israel's genocide? Well, of the $26 billion that the war had cost the Israeli economy between the 7th of October 23 and the 7th of October 24, the United States had paid $17.9 billion. The rest, well, 30% of the rest came from Germany, that had increased its arms supplies to Israel tenfold following the 7th of October, and the United Kingdom, and France and Italy. 60% of the electronic surveillance is being done by the Royal Air Force over Gaza. Italian Air Force planes refuel Israeli planes on their way to bomb Yemen. But also, we discovered in the Arab world that Sykes-Picot, that plan to divide the Arab world and to create these modern states, had Israel at the center of the Arab regimes that were created as a result of this plan. And that, unlike what these Arab regimes were being told, their job was to protect Israel and not the other way around. They have contributed either directly, as in the case with many of the Gulf countries, or by allowing aid to Israel, as in the case of Palestine's neighbors. The other thing that we've learned is this performative brutalism that we've witnessed in the genocide, and the way it has become a vehicle for the normalization of an anti-humanist racializing language. We have been subjected to a process in which we have watched people of color being killed in a performative way. Premature babies at Rantisi Children's Hospital being left to die so that the ICRC staff find them. Shifa Hospital, Gaza's largest hospital, intentionally turned into a mass grave by executing 400 of its patients and staff, and then buried in very shallow graves in the courtyard of the hospital. And the reason for this performative violence is that it was necessary as a vehicle for the return of fascism from the margins of politics to the center of politics. Dehumanization, an anti-humanist approach to others, allowed fascism to make its way back from the margins of unacceptability to the Nigel Farages and the Trumps of today. Western liberal institutions committing genocide could not claim to be able to fight the discourse of fascism while practicing in a performative way the same anti-humanist, racializing, brutal violence against people of color. But in order for this to happen, something very important had to happen in the last 5 to 10 years. We have watched the Netanyahu government and the Israeli right wing create an alliance with anti-Semitic forces, fascistic parties in Europe, and reach a historic agreement with them that a change to the definition of anti-Semitism from a definition that links it to the hatred of Jews and Jewish communities and links it directly to the 20th century's worst atrocity is changed to that purely of anti-Israeli opposition. And so by the end, when Trump was elected in his inaugural festivities, the Anti-Defamation League, the most rabid Zionist American organization, described Elon Musk's Sieg Heil shoulder salute as an awkward